Good morning, I'm Rick Darrow, and on behalf of Gulf Building, the YMCA, and all the MLK event sponsors, I am proud to be here today to share with you exciting news about a legacy project that the Y and Gulf Building have partnered together on to bring to the Sistrunk community, the L.A. Lee YMCA Maisel Community Center. Dr. King dreamed of a time when there was equality and equity for all people. And this project is an example of that dream. Working with the YMCA to bring this facility to Sistrunk Boulevard is an honor for our company. The Y wants to fulfill the dream for the community and provide a place where all people can gather together. And Gulf is excited to be able to bring this vision to life. What makes this center so special is that it includes retail space to drive economic development in the area, a swimming pool to teach water safety to our children, a preschool program along with Broward College to provide quality educational opportunities to our children, a black box theater bringing performing arts to families, and of course all the amazing amenities the Y brings with a gymnasium, wellness center, youth and teen center, and so much more. And despite the challenges of COVID, our work has continued to move this project forward. Gulf Building is so proud and honored to be a part of this legacy project for our community. And now I'd like to introduce YMCA CEO Cheryl Woods, who will take us on a quick tour of this new center.
I'm here today to give you a virtual tour of our soon-to-be L.A. Lee Maisel YMCA Community Center. You are now in the lobby, first floor of the YMCA. Years and years ago, this land used to be what was known as Provident Hospital, the only hospital that blacks could go to back in the day. We decided as an organization that we would make this a priority to bring forward the history of this community into this community center. Right here will be our front desk area where you will be welcomed. And that wall that you see in the background right there will be what we call a word wall. About a year ago, we asked our community, if you had one word that you would like to describe what this center will be to the community, we wanted to capture that. We captured all those names And all that information and all those words will be on that wall. This is the entrance to the locker room. So if you want to go to the swimming pool or get a workout, we're going to go through this particular area. Right over here on this particular wall and corner, we are going to bring that history of Provident Hospital back. We'll do a recognition wall for all of the wonderful partners that made this happen. And here's our swimming pool. How critical is a swimming pool for this community when so many of our children of color do not know how to swim and have a tremendous fear of water? So we have committed, and the community asked us to commit to building a swimming pool to make sure that we ensured the safety of our children. One of the things that was very important to this community was making sure that we had a preschool program and made sure that early education would be a priority. Part of our commitment was to make sure that we continue the legacy of early childhood development by adding a preschool. But you are now on Sistrunk Boulevard. We need to activate the street. We need to bring economic development to the community. We need to bring not only education, but also jobs. I am now standing in the retail space. Now, how incredible is it that the YMCA would build retail space that would include a barber shop? From this space all the way to the end of the building, we're working on a concept called the Food Hub. There's a lot of health disparities in this community, and the Food Hub will have a culinary kitchen. It will have a kitchen where chefs that want to practice their business will have a place to practice. They can learn, they can educate. We can give kids and young adults an opportunity to learn the importance of food preparation. The kitchen will be open 24 hours. So if a food truck vendor wants to come in, prepare their food for the next day, or a canteen business wants to make that happen, they will be able to do that right here in the Food Hub. We're now on the second floor to honor the Y's history, our LA Lee YMCA that's been in this community for almost 80 years. Now you're in the Wellness Center, our fitness center. So all along the perimeter of this room will be treadmills and ellipticals and cycle. Within the interior of that will be all of our selector equipment, all of our weight training equipment, and then our free weight area. And you can even sit right here on a treadmill or an elliptical trainer and look into our basketball court, okay? So if you've got kids and you want to watch them play basketball, shoot some hoops, play volleyball, maybe even pickleball, you'll have a perfect view right there to be able to watch your kids while you work out. And imagine if you pause for a few minutes and you just think of those basketballs bouncing in the gym and all those kids giggling and laughing about the games that they're playing. And how about those Saturday mornings where the whistle's blown and the referees and all of the mentors and the coaches are out there teaching children the skills that they need to be successful in life. This is the wall to the gymnasium. So because this is such a long wall, we're going to create an I Have a Dream wall. The first third of this is going to honor Dr. King's legacy and the breakfast for the past 17 years that we've been having this breakfast. We're going to show photos of all of our past speakers who are all civil rights leaders, so that again it becomes a bit of a history lesson for all the people in this community forever. This community has some of the most amazing artists, and we're going to create for the last 2/3 of this wall a photo gallery. It's going to be dedicated space for local artists to do their work and to come in and showcase. Across from the gallery is 3 separate individual locker rooms. We have plenty of those individual spaces for people of all different types, sizes, and beliefs. Okay, I just came out of the second floor hallway. Now, check this place out. We built a patio for entertainment, for venue. Sistrunk does an incredible annual parade each and every year. Now we've got a place where we can watch the parade, both on this level and another level in the building. Here we are on the 3rd floor. I could stand up here, watch the game going on down on the floor, watch the event that we might be happening. So we've got a lot of viewing areas that we'll be able to listen to and see what's happening there. If you look on this side, we've created 2 multi-purpose rooms. separated by kind of like an accordion screen. And we're excited about that because, again, it's about building community. You are now on floor number 3. We just came up the floor, and the first thing you're going to see is our aerobic room. And look at the view we're going to have when we look out on that. You're now in a large little lobby space. Wow, I wonder what this could be. Well, I'm going to call this our holding tank because right there we have created a black box theater. All right, now, who puts a black box theater in a YMCA? Let's come up here and do performing arts, spoken word, poetry. Maybe we're going to do music, all kinds of things that not only little kids can do, but so can our active older adults. Imagine outside people coming in and renting this space. Imagine the film producers wanting to come in and show a film to the local community. We are now on the 4th floor of this 65,000 square foot building, and now we're coming off our elevators again. And the first thing you're going to see right here on the 4th floor is what we're going to call our incubator space. We have partnered with the Mosaic Group, and the Mosaic Group, incredible people that they are, and they want to help provide small businesses with resources to become great business. So marketing and a place where they can do office work and the way they can launch their business and get the support of that. Well, now you are on the 4th floor, and here's our next commitment. This is the space for Broward College. Broward College is moving into the top floor of this building to provide post-secondary education programs and certification programs. Now, this is all glass walls, so we're kind of cheating by going through the wall right now, but watch your step. Another outdoor terrace for entertainment and gatherings for people and families and community. This is a dream come true. It is a legacy project. There is not one YMCA in the entire country that is doing what we're doing right here in South Florida. And thank you for all of your support and why continue it. Have a great day.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the YMCA of South Florida's 17th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational Breakfast. This is a very important event that gives us the opportunity to remember and honor Dr. King while celebrating his life and legacy. This year, it's a little different because we can't gather and meet in person, so we're coming to you virtually. For years, the Y has brought so many amazing civil rights leaders to speak about the legacy of Dr. King, and today is no exception. We have a great speaker and some wonderful sponsors that you'll hear from soon, including our two presenting sponsors, JM Family Enterprises and the Miami Heat. We would like to kick things off today with a tribute to civil rights leaders who we lost in 2020.
Today we honor and remember several of our iconic civil rights leaders we have lost this past year. Some of them known to us all, some we may not know. All of them with legacies that endure.
There's something better, I know there is, than this pain I'm in. Somehow I'll get through it. There's something strong that's inside me now. I'm not going down. Somehow I will do this. I'll get through the night to the day that's waiting on the other side. On the other side, on the other side, on the other side, it's waiting for me. On the other side, there's a better life, there's the brightest day. After the darkest night, I'll get there. Oh, I'll get there. I'll get past this pain I'm feeling now. I won't let it keep me down. I'll rise above it and get through the night to the day that's waiting on the other side. I'll get there.
As you know, the Y's event theme is Stand for Something. Dr. King stood for something. He stood for freedom, justice, and equality. All ideas definitely worth following. Now let's get started with today's program by introducing Jay Anderson, the YMCA board chair, with first a word from his company, Ryder, which has been a proud sponsor of this event for many years.
Hello, I'm Jay Anderson with Ryder. Ryder is so proud to be a continued supporter of the YMCA's annual Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational event. Ryder supports this event every year because we recognize and appreciate the work and sacrifices made by Dr. King and so many others during the civil rights movement. They contributed to the America that we live and we operate in today. Diversity and inclusion are part of our core values and are critical to our success in today's marketplace. Without the work done during the civil rights movement, we would not be the company we are today. In addition, the life Dr. King led serves as an inspiration and reminder to us that we should all stand for something. We hope that you will join Ryder and support the YMCA as we continue to stand for something today and every day. As the YMCA of South Florida board chair, I'm so proud of all the work the Y does in the community, and particularly proud that the Y is an inclusive organization that brings people together in many different ways for so many different things, like this event honoring Dr. King. Serving as board chair is very special to me this year. with the opening of our LA Lee YMCA Mizell Community Center in Fort Lauderdale this spring. I began volunteering my time at the LA Lee YMCA over 10 years ago, and it's so exciting to see that this community is getting a new state-of-the-art facility that will encompass so much of the heartbeat of this neighborhood, bringing the rich history of the Sistrunk community into the center through art, theater, and programs. It is a special time in our Y history that brings this new center to the community. I'm also very proud that our Y is and will continue to take a stand on equity and social justice issues, beginning with our own board and staff's commitment. In 2021, we will make equity and social justice initiatives more of a priority in how we operate and how we lead, knowing we can have a positive impact on all the children and families' lives we touch. Some of you have been attending the event for a number of years, but for some of you, this may be your first time, and you're wondering, what's the connection between the YMCA and Dr. King? Well, the YMCA as a movement has always supported civil rights efforts. Dr. King grew up in the Butler Street YMCA in Atlanta. He was a Y kid, like so many of you. And many civil rights leaders like Dr. King, Andrew Young, Vernon Jordan, and so many others had meetings at the local Ys. The Y was a place in the community that was safe and open to all people. Take a look.
The YMCA came to the United States in Boston in December 1851. Early rules of the Y excluded Catholics and religions other than Protestant, women, and people of color. However, in 1853, the first black YMCA was founded in Washington, D.C. by Anthony Bowen, a former slave from Maryland. It was the first non-church black institution in America, predating Lincoln University in Oxford, Pennsylvania by a year. The first black YMCA was formed at Howard University in 1869, and William Hunton became the first full-time black CEO in the YMCA movement in 1888. Then in 1894, the historic Butler Street YMCA was founded in Atlanta. Often referred to as the Black City Hall of Atlanta, early activities revolved around prayer and song, but eventually it became the hub of civil rights activity. Many of Atlanta's young black men belonged to the Y, including Vernon Jordan and Martin Luther King Jr. By 1896, the YMCA movement had grown to include 60 active colored YMCAs. 41 of them were student Ys at colleges. With the growth and progress of the colored YMCAs, the first conference of black CEOs was held in 1900. Following that, in 1910, Julius Rosenwald, founder of Sears Roebuck, announced a $25,000 challenge grant, that's $10 million in today's money, toward the construction of YMCAs in black communities. 25 YMCAs were built in 23 cities and played important roles in the struggle for civil rights. The Ys included clean, safe dorm rooms and eating facilities, a boon to black travelers, especially servicemen in a segregated and discriminatory era. In 1915, historian and PhD Carter G. Woodson, the second African American to receive a doctorate in history from Harvard University, stayed at the Wabash Area YMCA in Chicago, where he and 4 friends founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. In 1926, he organized the first Negro History Week, held in Washington, D.C. And in the 1960s, it grew into Black History Month and is celebrated throughout the country. By 1924, there were 160 Negro YMCAs, with 28,000 members throughout the United States, and growing stronger every year. In 1932, student YMCAs began to use that power to take a stand for equality. They voted to not hold meetings in states with Jim Crow laws. Eugene E. Barnett, head of the National YMCA organization during the 1940s, was a strong advocate of integrating YMCAs and full civil rights for minorities. In 1942, the Butler Street YMCA initiated the Hungry Club Forum, originally a secret organization, but eventually an openly recognized and extremely effective forum between black and white leaders. It was one of the first integrated public meetings in the South and one of few places where blacks and whites could meet together to discuss desegregation. Then in 1967, racial discrimination was banned at all YMCAs. Sadly, a few left the movement rather than comply with the national organization's directive to integrate. Since that time, the Y has continued to support African American leaders and their involvement in the civil rights movement through our mission work. Major milestones made by African American leaders have impacted the Y movement in transformative ways, allowing the YMCA to establish a rich history of honoring African American leaders within the YMCA and the civil rights movement, like Martin Luther King Jr., Thurgood Marshall, Diane Nash, Dorothy Height, Andrew Young, and many others.
Good morning. I'm Lanya Rittenhouse, Vice President of In-Flight Experience at Spirit Airlines. At Spirit, we're committed to pursuing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, both in our airline and in our communities. And we know that together, we're better. You know, every individual brings unique experiences and perspectives and beliefs to our community, and we're stronger because of them. As South Florida's hometown airline, Spirit is proud to support our community and especially proud to be here today to support the Y's Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational Breakfast to continue driving change in our community. It's with great pleasure that we recognize the recipients of the Spirit of Community Award, which goes to the individual or group that steps up, serves, and goes that extra mile to better our community. So it's fitting this year that the Spirit of Community Award recognizes all of our first responders and healthcare professionals who've gone and continue to go above and beyond to help keep us safe during this pandemic. You know, COVID-19 came so fast that many of us were unprepared to face the challenge, yet these professionals consistently risked their own lives to ensure the health and safety of others. This past year has been so difficult in countless ways, but for everyone, today, we thank you, our healthcare professionals and first responders, for your dedication and unwavering service to the health of our community. On behalf of the entire Spirit family, we're so proud to honor our local heroes and be part of this YMCA event.
You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, know I love you for that. Honest and selfless, I don't know if this helps it, but good job. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter, matter. Yeah. No, no, no.
Hello, I'm Barbara Burke, Wholesale Risk Executive for City National Bank of Florida. For 10 years, we've proudly sponsored the Y's Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational event because of the Y's pledge to fight for educational equity, social justice, and sustain the legacy of Dr. King. Each year, we have the unique opportunity to hear from civil rights leaders who continue to play a critical role addressing inequity and injustice. Their teachings truly inspire us to continue to stand for something. This week, we had the pleasure of coordinating a discussion between keynote speaker Reverend James Lawson and a group of young adults, providing them with the opportunity to be mentored by a civil rights icon. At CMB, we've been committed to building a strong community for 75 years, and our commitment to you will never waver. We are proud to support this magnificent event and to honor Dr. King's legacy. Thank you.
Growing up in Philadelphia, the YMCA was a point of origin for most kids in the community to go out, get off the streets, learn a skill, get involved in recreation, and I was one of those kids. Early on, at the early age, about 6 or 7 years old, I had my encounter at the YMCA, one that had somewhat of a little negative feel to it. I actually fell in the swimming pool, drowned, but it was a YMCA lifeguard that pulled me out of the water, resuscitated me, and allowed me to continue to participate in not only recreational activities, but to arrive where I'm at today. And so in essence, I owe a great thank you and gratitude to the YMCA, not only for what they presented and helped me grow as a young man, but for even saving my life. So thank you so much.
We're definitely off to a good start with the support of our sponsors. We all know the Y provides many programs and services to our community. And like many other organizations, the Y has been significantly impacted by the COVID pandemic and had to adapt its services to meet the needs of the community. Once again, the Y stepped up to find innovative ways to serve our children and families during these unprecedented times. Here are some highlights of the Y's impactful work from 2020.
Yeah, we got a good thing, baby. Whenever life is hard, we'll never lose our way, 'cause we both know who we are. Who knows about tomorrow? We don't know what's in the stars. I just know I'll always follow the light in your heart. I'm not worried about us, and I've never been. We know how the story ends. We will never break. We will never break. Build on our foundation, stronger than the pain. We will never break. As the water rises and the mountains shake, our love will remain. We will never, no, no, never. We will never, no, no, never. We will never, no, never. We will never, no.
Good morning. You just saw a small portion of the great work the Y does in the community. As the CEO of the YMCA of South Florida, I get to see all the awesome impact my team has on the community each and every day. Our team works so hard to help everyone who needs our support, whether it's delivering food, hygiene products, helping families pay utility bills to get them through these challenging times has not been easy. But with the help and support of our donors and our partners, we were able to make a difference in the lives of these families. Because we are such a grassroots and hands-on organization, we were able to go into fragile parts of our communities to make a difference. Most of these services were provided to families within our Allapattah YMCA community in Miami and our LA Lee YMCA community in Broward. I was so proud of our team as we also stepped up to provide online learning to our children. during these crazy times. And we were one of the first to provide childcare to our first responders and our medical teams. The stories from our families only inspire me to continue to lead our organization to even greater outcomes. In a few months, we will be opening our brand new LA Lee YMCA Mizell Community Center, located in the historic Sistrunk community. Even COVID did not stop the construction of this center over the past 10 months. Amen. It was and it's going to be a very special YMCA. This community center is going to make a lasting positive change in the lives of so many people, from our infants all the way to our seniors. You know, my passion is to ensure the safety and education of our youth, to give our kids a chance in life to fulfill their dreams. As a past educator and teacher, I know the importance of education to our children. I know the importance of providing our young people with opportunities to learn, grow, and thrive in today's world. Watching our young people on a Zoom call earlier this week with Reverend Lawson, our keynote speaker, was amazing. It brought tears to my eyes. Watching this just makes me more committed to finding ways to give our young people more opportunities. During this event, over the many, many years, we have always identified and honored one of our young people with the Dave W. Cash Youth Scholarship Award. This award provides our students a chance to further their educational endeavors through our college tour, our youth and government program, and all of our other middle school and high school Y programs that we offer. This year, we are introducing something new. We are going to call this the I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund. The I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund will provide our teens with more programs around career development, our virtual college education tours, arts and theater education, and our leaders in training programs. This is where I'm asking all of you to make a donation to the I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund. The process is so simple. Go to ymcasouthflorida.org/MLK Dream Fund to make a donation. Your generosity, regardless of the amount, will be significant in helping our young teens. To show you what I mean, let me introduce you to two very special friends of the Y. And it's so great to see the two of you here today and being a part of this. Both of you are former scholarship recipients, whether it's been a year or 2 years that you've received that award, and we're so glad that you're here. So tell us a little bit about that experience when you stood on stage and you received that award and what that award means to you today. So Shanice, you go first.
Receiving the award definitely meant a lot to me and my family. As the first person to graduate from high school to go to college, it definitely assisted with the financial disparities that myself along with my family were facing at the time. Also, just being recognized for the leadership and service roles that I had participated in over the years in high school and middle school, it definitely felt very warm. I felt very appreciated, and it just gave me the opportunity to realize that I just needed to push forward, and that award helped me a lot with that.
Well, and you look successful. I mean, you're very pretty, and you just carry yourself so well, so I think you have probably done very, very well.
Thank you, and I would have to say thank you to the YMCA and Miss Boyd. She was definitely a great mentor at the time, and continues to do so to this day. So the YMCA has definitely groomed me to be the person I am.
Well, we're very proud of you.
Well,
very proud of you. How about you, Danielson? How was that experience with you? And were you nervous up on that stage? And you weren't nervous, I remember.
I mean, I was very nervous. However, I understood what it meant to the YMCA and to my community. Back in middle and high school, when I was involved in these service projects and also dealing with certain adversities at home, being on that stage, it basically allowed me to recognize that what I do is a big impact to who I'm doing it for. Back in middle and high school, I was doing it just to lend a helping hand. I wasn't thinking anything more or less of it. But being on that stage, it actually made me feel like it was an importance to my community. So receiving that scholarship, it gave me that feeling to do more. So that's the scholarship gave me that extra push. It gave me motivation, along with our old executive director, Jocelyn Boyd, to go forth and provide impact to my community and to any communities. And also gave me another understanding of what I wanted to do, because now I want to be a police officer because I understand that in order to change the world, I have to start from within. And I believe that as a police officer within your community, dealing with many different people, many different families, many different youth, many different even homeless people, that they are the first responders to respond to those type of calls. And I believe that in order to change the world, you have to start 3 feet around you. So starting 3 feet around me as a police officer, I believe will help me change the world.
Wow. Wow. Well, I want to keep you close within my 3 feet too, or maybe 6 feet now. But I want to keep you close because that's pretty impressive. And what an incredible, wonderful impact that both the Scholarship Fund and you all bring to this community. And, you know, we're in good hands with all of our young people. I think you guys are just amazing, and it's just such an honor to have you here with us today, because your stories tell the story. And hopefully inspire others, right? Because that's what we want to do. So thank you so much for sharing all of these wonderful stories. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do what we do every day, for the opportunity to make a difference in someone's lives. The Y nurtures and inspires our young people to reach their true potential sometimes that even they may not even know themselves that they have. The Y's I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund is going to give our teens an opportunity to learn, gain perspective, and thrive. But we need your help. Young people like Danielson and Shanice need your help. I can't imagine a better way to honor the ideals of Dr. King than to invest in our teens. So please go to our website, go to our address, it's on the screen, and make your donation now. Every dollar helps. And thank you for all that you do.
Hello, I'm Tom McMahon with Milner. Milner is proud to support the Y's Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational event each year, and we are very proud to sponsor the Youth Scholarship Fund. We understand how important growth, education, and opportunity are to our young people. Cheryl, I love the new name of the scholarship, the I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund, in memory of our dear friend and colleague Dave Cash, who was the Y CFO and who lost his battle with cancer. Dave was so committed to providing opportunities to our youth. Dr. King said, the time is always right to do what is right. Milner supports the Y and the Dave W. Cash Youth Scholarship Award because it is the right thing to do. And just by being a part of this event today, you have chosen to be a part of something that is right. This year, we won't be selecting one student to receive our Youth Scholarship Award, but instead, we'll be honoring all students and teachers who continue to persevere in the face of the pandemic challenges to keep educating and be educated. Thank you for ensuring brighter futures for our youth and our community.
I can climb this mountain. I can brave the storm. I can be amazing. There's no telling now how far I'll go. When this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try.
morning, everyone. I'm Steve Stowe with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat is proud to be a presenting sponsor of this year's Martin Luther King Jr.'s Inspirational Breakfast. The Heat partners with the Y in supporting youth education programs, water safety initiatives, and equity and social justice programs within our community. During this very, very difficult time, there's obviously an ongoing health crisis that the YMCA has been a vital resource for many families, providing childcare, food delivery, and financial assistance to so many in need. So the reason why the Miami Heat supports the YMCA is because there's so much more to do, and we all have so much more to do. So let's all do our part and support the I Have a Dream Scholarship Fund. This community needs us. We encourage you to stand with us, be with us, do whatever it takes to support the YMCA in this very, very critical time, and support this breakfast and continue to support the YMCA moving forward. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank you to our Miami Heat, or should I say your Miami Heat, for joining us today. There's no argument that the Y and the Miami Heat are amazing partners. Another great community partner is JM Family Enterprises, which has been the presenting sponsor for this annual Martin Luther King Jr. event for, can you believe, 10 years now. Without the support of JM Family Enterprises and the Y, we would not have the opportunity to hear from some amazing civil rights leaders and honor the legacy of Dr. King. It is my honor now to introduce my friend Colin Brown from JM Family Enterprises, another one of our presenting sponsors.
Thank you, Calvin. JM Family is proud to serve as the presenting sponsor of the YMCA of South Florida's Martin Luther King Jr.'s Inspirational Breakfast. Personally, this is one of my favorite events because we hear firsthand of the courage and bravery of civil rights leaders such as Diane Nash, C.T. Vivian, and Andrew Young, and learn of their fight for social justice that impacted the lives of so many. Today will be no different. We lost remarkable civil rights icons last year, Congressman John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, and Bruce Boynton. But today we have the incredible opportunity to hear from a legendary figure who mentored and worked alongside civil rights activists to make advancements for equality. At 92 years young, Reverend James Lawson still credits his mother for shaping his nonviolent methods. In the 4th grade, he slapped a white boy who had called him a racial slur. When he told his mother what happened, she said, "Jimmy, what good did that do? There must be a better way," and proceeded to give him a lecture of Christian love. From that point forward, he dedicated his life to finding that better way. Reverend Lawson practiced what he preached. Having filed for conscientious objective status, he served 14 months in jail for refusing the Korean War draft. He traveled to India as a missionary to study Gandhi's use of nonviolent tactics. He read about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s involvement with the Montgomery bus boycott and passionately believed that physical courage and nonviolence could help achieve social and political change to help end segregation. Reverend Lawson returned to the United States as a student at Oberlin College of Theology in Ohio, and while there was introduced to Dr. King. Dr. King urged Lawson to come to the South to begin teaching nonviolence on a larger scale. Reverend Lawson moved to Nashville, enrolled at Vanderbilt University Divinity School, and began organizing workshops on nonviolent direct action for community members and college students, including Diane Nash, Marion Barry, John Lewis, and James Bevel. He taught them how to plan peaceful demonstrations and sit-ins, forcing America to recognize the immorality of segregation. They were beaten and arrested, but their efforts eventually led to the desegregation of lunch counters, and their model became the blueprint for other southern cities. For his leadership role, Reverend Lawson was expelled from Vanderbilt. He and the Nashville student leaders were founders of the first conference for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. In 1961, Reverend Lawson participated in the third wave of the Freedom Rides, where he and the group were arrested and jailed in the Mississippi State Penitentiary because they filed into a whites-only waiting room in Jackson. After Reverend Lawson moved to Memphis, he became involved with the sanitation strike for higher wages and union recognition. He chaired the strike committee and invited Dr. King to speak, where his famous "I've been to the mountaintop" speech was delivered.
And I want to commend the preachers under the leadership of these noble men, James Lawson, one who has been in this struggle for many years. He's been to jail for struggling. He's been kicked out of Vanderbilt University for this struggling, but he's still going on fighting for the rights of his people.
Dr. King was assassinated the very next day. Reverend Lawson continued to work with various civil rights groups. He moved to Los Angeles and became the pastor of the Holman United Methodist Church until he retired in 1999. He continued his civil rights work, and last year, on July 30th, Reverend James Lawson delivered John Lewis's stirring eulogy and vowed, "We will not be quiet."
Let all of us in this service today, let all the people of the USA determine that we will not be quiet as long as any child dies in the first year of life in the United States. We will not be quiet as long as the largest poverty group in our nation are women and children. We will not be quiet as long as our nation continues to be the most violent culture in the history of humankind. We will not be quiet as long as our economy is shaped not by freedom, but by plantation capitalism that continues to cause domination and control rather than access and liberty and equality for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome Reverend James Lawson.
Thank you, Colin, for all of your support. And we also thank you for putting together such an incredible video that depicts Reverend Lawson's life. What a great video. As usual, Colin, we love the video. And good morning to you, Reverend Lawson.
Good morning.
You are now a part of a viewership of over 1,000 people, and I hope even more, in which we are celebrating our annual Martin Luther King Inspirational Breakfast. And we are so excited that you are here with us today. And I'm sure that you have tremendous amount of wisdom and words of wisdom to share with us. But before we get started, would you like to just say hello to our audience?
It is my great pleasure and privilege to be able to address you and speak to you, though virtually, as a part of the Martin Luther King holiday celebrations from the YMCA in South Florida. I've noticed that you do this celebration, and you've done it for 10 or 15 years at least now, and I greatly appreciate it, because I happen to think that the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is the one holiday in the United States that really must be focused on human rights for all the people of the United States of America. Not only on human rights, but it must be focused on how we produce a society where every baby born anywhere in our society is welcome with the social structures and ideologies that support that baby's life for all their lives. Because I happen to think that the finest economy will be an economy that centers in all the people and all the families of the nation. Every locality. It does not focus on primarily one group or the other, but all the people have access to the gift of life.
Well, that was an incredible welcome, and we're going to learn more about this, but let's go back in time, Reverend Lawson, and your childhood days, and what types of personal influences, whether they were family or colleagues or the community leaders, or maybe just any other experience life experience that you had that kind of charted your pathway for your life?
Well, probably the first major influence in my life was my mother and father, and the second, my 5 older sisters.
So when you were in 4th grade, an experience occurred. Tell us a little bit about that experience and your mom's reaction.
On a bright, beautiful spring day, I am accosted by a youngster in a car who stands up on the front seat, a white youngster, his head and shoulders above the car on the outside of the open window. And again, I hear this racist epithet. I go over to the car and slap the boy, and then run on up Lincoln Way and finish my errand for my mother. When I returned home and give her the message done, whatever the errand was, I sat in a favorite seat in the kitchen where she was working over the stove. And I told her about this incident on Main Street. And I shall never forget, because without turning to face me, she asked, "Jimmy, what good did that do?" And she gave me then a lesson in who we were and what we were about, and why it was important that we do our struggle in a fashion that allows for goodness to emerge. The last thing I remember her saying on that occasion was this: "Jimmy, there must be a better way." And so since that time, I have been struggling spiritually, intellectually, physically, socially to live that better way and to teach it and to cause people to understand that evil cannot be overcome by evil. The wrong cannot become right by imitating wrong. You cannot dissolve hatred with hatred. So the point of my life has been to discover then nonviolent struggle as a theory and as forms of tactics and actions that can change wrong in people and in our society, and do it from a different level of humanity.
And that lesson from your mother should be told over and over and over again every human being in the world, right?
Well, I think that's right, but you generalize it too much for me, because I happen to think that we, the people of the United States, must learn it first. We are the third largest nation in the world in population. In wealth, we are the wealthiest. We have more than 800 military bases across the earth on at least 4 continents. We have ships and navies on every ocean. We fought World War II, feeding our 16 million people in the armed forces in the Pacific, in Africa, in Europe. No such power has ever been demonstrated by any nation in human history. So I happen to think that being who we are, we have a responsibility for our 300 million people to know more than anywhere else in the world that the hatred, wrong, injustice, inequity, the lack of freedom must be dismantled. And it must begin here, because we established slavery for 250 years, which made racism a classical disease in our midst. We inherited from the human race sexism and male chauvinism, which maybe goes back 5,000 years. We took the land from the indigenous people. So I think in some ways we are a unique people. In addition to that, as the 13 colonies began to recognize the necessity of self-government, they came to a major philosophical or theological notion, and I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that all are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That's that almost impossible preamble to the Declaration of Independence is the foundation for our Constitution.
So, Reverend Lawson, here we are in 2021. What words of wisdom do you have for all of us today, in addition to what you've just shared? But what can we do to make a positive difference and change in our country? A good change, a united change, an equitable change. How do we do that? Teach us.
I'll try to say quickly 3 things. 1, good trouble, to use John Lewis's word. good change is underway already. I have seen it across the last 60 years. A major reason for the tensions which the media reports is because the change is going on, and it is confronting the wrongs by which too many of us have lived too long. That's first. Secondly, I want to point out that each of us can be called a singularity of life, or a life singularity. That is, that each person, as far as I know anything about it, contains within their DNA and their genes and their blood flow and their cells and their mind and heart, each person contains the power of creative life and creative love. And a part of what I understand the science of nonviolence to be saying is that we human beings must recognize the creativity out of which we were birthed and cultivate it. None of us know the potential of life in ourselves. There has to be the change in the philosophy of looking outside ourselves for the power of life. Each human being is a singularity of life. So our long journey is how we become truly alive, truly loving, truly engaged in this journey. And then the third thing I would say is that we must use that singularity of life, of love, for forming families and neighborhoods and communities and governments that see, that focus on the human family, where we live and across the face of our community and earth, is the beginning place for streets that are safe, for a community that is well organized. And hence, we must see Martin Luther King Jr. as the icon of a movement. A movement called him the Montgomery Bus Boycott. December the 5th, 1955, in Montgomery, Alabama. People elected him the spokesperson or chairperson of the bus boycott, which began that same day. King was extraordinarily well prepared. He did not ask to be elected. But for any number of people in that room that afternoon, he was the choice. And for the first time, actually, he accepted the leadership that the community asked him to take.
And that time in history caught your attention. And then Dr. King asked you to come south and continue your teachings. And it's my understanding that one of the groups that you taught was the
Yes,
Little
that's
Rock
true.
Nine. And yet here are these high school students going
Yes.
into Central High and being confronted in a very, very violent way. How do you teach someone to react in a non-violent way?
There are two models of this that I usually hold up. It is one of the reasons that I do not like to use the omnibus term civil rights movement. We should learn of the Little Rock Nine as an astonishing illustration of what ordinary young people can do with their lives. Those 9 were selected to desegregate Central High in Little Rock, Arkansas. They were met with all of the organized struggle that racism could put upon them. They were told by their they were told by their parents and the NAACP lawyers that they could not fight back. I met all 9 of them in early January of 1958. It upset me that they were told not to fight back. But I tried to say to them what their parents were saying. When you are being hostilely attacked, physically and verbally, in a high school in that fashion, if you do not fight back personally, you can destroy the gift of your life. And I said to them, what your parents are saying is to fight back with your heart, mind, soul, strength, character, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. That meant you had to become fearless. You had to walk in that new situation, recognizing the hostility, but on the other side, recognizing the nobility of the gift of your life. And respond not with hostility, but with the way in which you accept yourself. That partially is the beginning of nonviolence. My other illustration, but there are many, many illustrations. When Jackie Robinson, an extraordinary athlete out of University of California, Los Angeles, out of Pasadena, was selected by Branch Rickey to desegregate baseball, professional baseball. He was told also, do not fight back. Again, this was not meant for him to be passive. It meant, one, he must play the best baseball he ever played in his life. Secondly, it meant he should not retaliate against the folk on the field who sought to hurt him. Instead, he must make the sacrifice, outplay them. Had Jackie Robinson returned a spike for a spike on the baseball field, the league would have expelled him. And that effort to desegregate would have failed. I hope you understand the point I'm making, that you and I, in our gift of life, can make a choice. Our fight back against wrong, we can decide, will be a fight that is a good trouble. Only that kind of resistance to wrong actually changes us and changes them. And that's, yeah, and you've had a number of speakers from that whole era.
Minnie Jean Brown was absolutely incredible, and some would say that your teaching saved the Little Rock Nine's lives because of that nonviolence response. So now let's take us down to Memphis, and when you were involved with the sanitation strike, and how you went in to teach the nonviolent response to be able to affect positive change, and then when you invited Dr. King to come to Memphis.
Well, the sanitation strike is one of the wonderful gifts that my life has had. 1,300 black men walk off the job because of the racist treatment and the bad wages they received and the lack of simple safety. And so many of us in Memphis immediately supported them. To try to do this quickly, we had a walk down the middle of the street, Main Street, from the convention center to the Mason Temple. And police in automobiles, in squad cars, rolled up alongside of us and jumped out of the cars and maced us all. Broke up what was a nonviolent walk to another meeting. I was there, I was maced. As an organizer, I was watching the march. I looked both up front and in back. I saw this happen. It was a police macing of a large number of black people. on the street. And we had permission from the Commissioner of Fire and Police to walk from the convention center to the Mason Temple. That, in a sense, police macing meant we had to strategize to make the strike, a nonviolent tactic, work. And that's what I helped to do. I was asked to chair a strategy committee. And we went out to organize the black community and the many people of goodwill who wanted to support justice to do that work. We began a mass meeting. And one of the first things we did as we began the mass meetings is to invite the president of the NAACP, the head of the A. Philip Randolph Institute, which was primarily an institute working for organizing poor people in unions. That was Bayard Rustin. And Martin Luther King Jr., who was already the national leader of the times. And that's how, therefore, on behalf of that strike, I was the one asked to call Dr. King, which I did. And he, of course, had heard of the strike, and because we were colleagues in that struggle, he set the date for when he could come and speak to a mass meeting. So that's quickly is how Dr. King came to Memphis initially.
And your memories of Dr. King that day, and then obviously the day after in which he was assassinated?
Martin King, in my mind, is the greatest figure out of Christianity in the 20th century. So you have to know that in some ways I'm prejudiced out of my study and thinking and participation. I consider Martin Luther King Jr. as a kind of Moses or Jesus in the 20th century for the United States, if not for the world. He was a well-prepared pastor. He'd started working on that in his earliest life. One of the things that I remember is that age 4, Martin King was singing a song that went something like this, I want to be more and more like Jesus. He was age 4 at that time. But from early biographies, I've learned that that was the case at home and on the street for the boy Martin King. He's one of the finest human beings I've ever met. He was a person who loved to play, loved to sing, loved to eat, loved to joke. In many meetings, we always had a pickup game of touch football or basketball, and places where we could swim, we went swimming. So I prefer not thinking of King as the civil rights leader. There was other people who easily fit that category. He was a pastor in the Baptist tradition who was working to eradicate a terrible, sometimes unrecognized wrong in our country and in the world. And he felt called to do that. Therefore, he was willing to risk his life in being used as a channel to fight wrong with right and to fight hatred with compassion and to fight violence, too much of it still going on, with nonviolence. And in the long run of history, I think that's how Martin King will be recognized as indeed a prophet of history. And as I worked with him, loved him, and followed his leadership, and supported that leadership, and became a part of the work he did, I remain aware that he was a word of God to Western civilization and to the United States of America in particular. And a voice that if we do not hear, we're going to plunder, we're going to blunder into all sorts of chaos.
Which is why we at the YMCA choose to honor him.
Yeah, that's right. And may I just interrupt to say something? Because the YMCA is an excellent illustration of the kind of nonprofit organizing that we, the people, must do if we're going to have the kind of nation we want. And the folk who organized the YMCA more than 100 years ago knew what they were doing. We human beings have to be the people who cause the structures of our society to become more compassionate and fair and accessible and just. So nonprofit organizations, and the YMCA is an excellent illustration, are critical to the kind of organizing that we the people do, so that the Y got founded because they saw in their day a need for working with children and young people, with men. And then, of course, then the YWCA was followed. This form of nonprofit work in our society must be increased. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed, sir. Agreed, agreed, agreed. And we want everyone watching today to take our theme for this holiday in honor of Dr. King. Yes. We say stand for something. And whether it's the YMCA or any other nonprofit, our people need to be involved in their communities and support the work of these nonprofit organizations. So thank you for that shout out. And we're proud because Dr. King grew up in the Butler Street YMCA, and that became a very historical YMCA, as you may know. So as we're wrapping this up, Reverend Lawson, I saw something on TED Talk about shaping your destiny. I fell in love with that TED Talk with you. Will you share with our audience a little bit about what does shaping your destiny mean to us as a people? As you wrap all of your life experiences into your response, what do you have to say to our audience?
The major thing I want to say that, therefore, that love and truth are not powerless or not impotent. They are spiritual forces that we can tap and use for shaping the transformation of our own lives and our families and our communities.
And we have this opportunity in our life to do something positive with that. And having you with us this year at this inspirational event, I want to tell you, has been an absolute joy. I am very humbled by this experience. I am very honored to have this opportunity with you. I can't wait to see what the future holds for our country. And I know that we as an organization will work even harder to deliver the message and to encourage the nonviolent approach to social justice. And I want to thank you all the way from Fort Lauderdale to Los Angeles today. I want to thank you for your time and for your dedication of a lifetime to this mission, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Wow, wow, wasn't that great? Can you believe it? He's 92 years young. We've lost so many of our great civil rights leaders this year. It's good to hear their stories while we still can. So we're closing out another great Martin Luther King Jr. Inspirational Breakfast this year. We want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And lastly, remind you to give to the Y. The Y cannot continue to bring people together and provide life-changing programs and services without your support. So be sure to visit the website and give today. And again, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.